Hi, it's David Shummy at Fix-A-Frame again, and I just thought I'd quickly film this thing that I'm making. We kind of should have started filming it earlier on, but we were trying to work out how to actually build a frame for this necklace that has been brought into me. And what we're trying to do, or what the part is, this is actually the internal box, and the client actually brought this suede. It's actually not a suede mat board. We've wrapped a piece of suede fabric around the board, and they wanted it to float. It's for an interior decorator here in Sydney, and the problem has been that the length of the chain has been shortened by the bishop that used to wear this, and so we had to somehow have the chain go up and into the board somehow. And so what we did is we first of all we made this oval board here and wrapped it with suede, and then we inset it through a hole, and we've wrapped suede inside, and now I've actually finished the back and I've put suede on the back, and then I actually made a hole so that this extra piece of chain could come through and will sit inside the backing. Now the client has requested that they could get this in and out of the frame, so we're having to do some quite on the fly unique fittings to try and hold this piece quite safely and securely in the frame, but then allow the client to get it out if they need to. So we were thinking of making a hinged box, but again, as usual, we're under some quite heavy time constraints, and this has to be ready to go down to Sydney this afternoon. So it's now about 2 o'clock, and we have to have it in the client's hands by about 4:30 so they can get the 6 o'clock flight down to Sydney to deliver it to their client. So they haven't had it, I haven't had this until just about an hour ago, and what I'd done is I'd made this part this morning because I knew it was coming and I was given the dimensions. And so we'd made an external frame already and fitted some metal brackets because we wanted to be able to, the glass is already fitted in there, and we've bonded it in and we've sealed that. So this is the front of the piece, and then it's going to sit over and be screwed into place. So when it's eventually done, it will sit in this box and hang like so. Now the point that I'm up to now is I've got to actually fit this this necklace to the frame, or to fit it. So I've managed to tuck it in, and I've tucked it through so the client will be able to get that out. But now what I'm going to use are these little mighty mounts. Now they're a small plastic fitting, and they come in different sizes. One of the other challenges that I've been asked to accomplish is because of the angle of the top piece of this necklace, they would like it to sit up off the backing. So I'm going to use a slightly higher mounting block than what I would normally do to hold this in place, and then they'll be able to take this piece in and out of the frame. I'm going to build it up. I've already made a couple of holes here because the way these things work is they just actually go in and they plug in through a hole, and then that will sit and spring and hold the actual hold the necklace in place. So you'll come back and have a look at how we progress, and you'll see how we get this thing together. Anyway, one of the challenges that we have here at Fix-A-Frame at Mount Gravatt. So yeah, the way these actually work is normally you make a hole, you actually drill a hole. I'm just using a small awl, and with the awl I've made a hole through the board, and then that's where our little plug is going to go through and sit. Now this one's quite a big one because what I want to do is lift that up off the backing, and I was just trying to work out what we could use to lift the piece off because it's not going to sit flat. We're actually going to try and have the thing sitting up where it could sit and give a little bit of space. So we're going to sit that down in there, and we're going to put something underneath it just to lift it up so that it holds up into the air there. Now the positioning that you normally use is the hole for one of these plugs needs to be positioned at on the line where you actually want the spring to fit. So normally you'd make a small pencil mark, and on that pencil mark you would make the hole. I'm just going to go straight in with the spike so I can see where I want it to be. I want it to sit up here at the same point as this one, and so I'm going to make a little hole there, just a starter hole, and then make a starter hole on the other side. Now I'll get this out of the way, and you can see here I've got the 2 points where I'm going to make holes into the board. I just go at it. Often we'll drill these, but this is quite accurate, and it's accurate enough for what I'm doing here. Now what I did is I glued this suede that was provided onto a layer of thicker card that is going to be strong enough to support the weight of the piece. And then the other thing that I did is, this is actually the suede the client provided, and on the back here I glued a piece of actual suede mat board. So this is suede mat board stuck onto the back of the board, and I drilled a little hole just in here with our mat cutter so that this chain could come through, because this is the excess piece of chain that we don't want to have a problem with. So then I'm just going to cut off just with a flat blade there, just cutting off some of the excess where I made these holes. Because what happens is, on the back of these little plugs, we're going to put a small spring washer, and that spring washer is going to sit over those and hold these plugs in place. So what we do, just going to get them in position. Just going to sit up in there. So these things come in different actual heights. You have sort of different height ones and different spring loaded ones, but I'm using this slightly higher one, even though I should really use a small one. I'm using the high one because they want it lifted up, and then I'm going to work out what I do underneath to try and get that space. And so these little plates are going to go just straight in. Just like so. These are going to be hard to put this thing in and out of the frame. You can't put it in that way. It's going to have to go in sideways. So I think just to actually lift this up, what I'm going to try to do is I'll put a felt bump on underneath, and we'll try a couple of bump-ons actually. We'll just see whether it gives us enough height. I think these should be soft enough. We might need to make another one, but this is going to, when it goes in, it's going to fit in here, and you have to actually pull the little leg back a little bit just to get it in. think we'll put another couple. This is just going to build up some padding. Okay, so what we've done, I've just built up a few little pads of bump-ons here because I wanted to get a little bit of height underneath this, and so this just needs to be pulled to fit the piece in. Now that's the height that the client wants it to sit. So basically that's ready to fit up, and what we're going to do now is just clean that. Oh, before I do, I haven't actually fit the back of these pieces. On the back here, normally on these sections, we're going to actually put those small spring washers. Now to do that, I've got to remove the item, so we'll put them on. So I've actually got to get to the back of this. What I'll do is I'm going to use a little block of wood there just to support it. Often we already would, when we'd be making this, we would normally make this out of this frame and then fit it in later. But due to the time constraints, I got an email this morning sending me a drawing of what they wanted with a drawing of the size of it, and basically I had to start making this ahead of time. So I already have fixed this piece in, glued it in, and so now I've just got to turn it over to actually put the pieces on the back here. And so what I've done, I've just got some offcuts of pine out of the bin because I want something there that I can put these pieces on with. I'm just going to lay it down on there. And so then with these mighty mounts, there is a little fitting device, and what you do is you put that over the top and you push the thing on. And these springs, they actually hold that little mighty mount piece in place. Now often you can cut them off, the back side of them off. You can cut the back of them off with wire cutters. I don't really think it'd be necessary in this case to remove them. We've actually got a void inside this area here, so they won't contact the wall, and we could actually put a backing over that entire piece, but I think they want to actually be able to see the chain there, and so that's quite presentable with the suede and even leaving the plugs sitting on the back. If you wanted to, you could actually put another backing over there just to conceal that. So we'll just pick it up. So that are these little plugs. Often you'll cut those off. So now that's holding these in position. Just going to come back with the chain again. Make sure it's sitting just how they have shown us in the diagram. So again, there's a bit of spring in these, which is enabling me to get the piece in without doing any damage to it. And so that's how the piece is actually going to sit when it goes into the frame. We're now going to give that a quick dusting. often when you're using suede or fabric, any little bits of fluff that can get caught in the way, you can take off with a small piece of tape. I just want to ensure that this is nice and clean before we actually go and put it into the frame. The other thing is we may actually want to give some sort of brushing to this suede depending on how the nap sits in there. Now what I'd do is I'd set that aside just got to give this another quick clean. I'd pre-cleaned the glass before I started. Now I'm actually going to lay the frame on top there. Just want to check. I'd actually marked these before. And so that the client, originally the client wanted this to be a hinged box, but it was a little bit too short time to construct the hinged mechanism. So what we've done is we'd made some metal plates that will enable them to unscrew. I've just got to adjust this a second. You can see here where chain is just caught. So we'd siliconed and mounted the glass in position. So this is how the piece is going to sit. And what I'll do is I'm just going to turn it over. And then just manually I'm going to put some screws into the end of the frame here. That'll hold it together. So they're already pre-drilled. I'd put this piece together before just to check that everything was going to work. And I didn't really want anything to show from the side, so what we've done is top and bottom, we've left everything off the side of the frame. So the side of the frame is black. This is not obviously the ideal frame for something that deep, but this matches one of the other paintings that the client has in their home, and they particularly liked that style. And so the interior decorator that we're working with on this job had specified this design, and then we've just had to make it work, which is sometimes the challenges that picture framers face, is getting given jobs that are slightly challenging. So what we have the chain hanging out the back here. I probably will put that on a hook or so, fix it in some way. They want to be able to see this, and they actually want to be able to get it out, so I don't know whether we're going to put another piece of acrylic over the back so they can actually see that piece on the inside. But on the front we now have the actual chain mounted and the piece sitting in the frame, and it's really quite an impressive work. What I'll do, I'm just going to fit some small fittings to enable them to hang this up. I just need to decide how we're going to actually hold this piece. Maybe we put it on I think we're going to put it on two little cup hooks. And we're going to fit a couple of nice little D-rings onto the frame itself so that it can be hung. A couple of bump-ons on the end. These are just screw eyes, but maybe we can actually have them sitting somewhere inside just to hook the chain onto. I wonder whether that will work. That is possible. We might put a screw in and we'll see what happens. Anyway, hanging a third of the way down. Now I'm not sure whether they're going to use a security hanger on here, but I just thought I'd put something on that will offer a reasonable strength of hanger, and then when they fit the work they will decide whether they go to a security hanger or not. And we just put some 20 kilo wire there for the time being. Yeah, it's quite funny. We were talking to our client about this job a few weeks ago and the challenges that would be involved in getting it done. The actual piece belongs to a relation of the bishop who has since passed away, and so it has great sentimental value to the person, and they wouldn't actually allow it out of their sight. So what has happened is they've flown up from Sydney this morning and brought the work with them. We received an email outlining what was required, and then we had to make it on the fly today so that they could put it back on the plane with them this evening. And I think we've actually achieved quite a good result, being able that they can take this piece in and out if they so desire. It's archivally presented. There's no damage done to the work, and it matches the other framing that they've got in their home. So I think under pressure, and we've come in with about 2 hours to spare. So I'm just going to go and have a coffee, and I'll give them a call and get them down to come and have a look. We'll see you next time.